It's Grandma Roseanne, and we're going to make some sandwich bread today. And we're going to make it from scratch because it's so easy to do once you learn how to really work with yeast. So we're going to do that. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a honey sandwich bread, which is just a little bit sweeter, really nice. I think you'll enjoy it. So we want to get the yeast going first. So what we have here is 2 cups of water, and the water needs to be warm. So stick your finger in. If it's warm enough that you could feed it to a baby, good enough for you to put your yeast in it. Then we want, what I'm making is 2 loaves, okay? So if you want to cut it in half and make 1 loaf, go for it. But honestly, you guys, it takes as much time to make 2 as it does to make 1. So I don't know why you would only make 1 loaf, because you can freeze it and it freezes beautifully. So if you have freezer space or choose just to eat a lot of bread, go ahead and go for the 2 loaves. So we have our 2 cups of water here. We need 6 tablespoons of sugar. So this, 2, 4, 6. And then we need 2 tablespoons of honey. Now, this always just takes so long, this honey, to come. Well, now I say that and it's going to come out fast. It's not going to come out that fast. So maybe we should talk about something. I'm not sure what to talk about when I'm trying to hold this honey up. You know, it probably would be smart if I just took the top off. All right, so now we have our 2 tablespoons of honey, and I have this nice little spatula that is so easy to get honey out of your spoon there. Then we want to put in 4.5 teaspoons of yeast. So I buy yeast in bulk. So we're going to put in 4.5 teaspoons. And a half. All right. Now we're just going to mix this up a little bit. Let all the sugars and the honey kind of activate that yeast. And basically what happens here is yeast, the sugar is going to make the yeast really active. So we've got that going, and we're going to let that rest for a couple of minutes. Now we're going to start with the wet ingredients, and we want 2 eggs, and 4 tablespoons of butter. You can use shortening if you want. I already had that measured out, so there you go. 4 tablespoons of butter and 2 teaspoons of salt. There. Now I'm just going to mix those up a little bit, and then we're going to be able to start incorporating our yeast if it has started to bubble a little bit. We know it's alive, and the flour that we're going to use. So let me get this going. Get those eggs mixed up a little bit. I'm starting to see bubbles. Can you see bubbles around the side? That's telling me right there that the yeast is activated, so I know I've got good yeast. And now we're going to put in the flour, and I'm going to put in 6 cups of flour. The flour is important, you guys. Bread flour is really what you need. That's 2, and I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add my yeast. And the last 2. Now, if you have a mixer like this that has a dough hook on it, come on over and take a look so I can show you what a dough hook is in case you're not clear on it. But it's this hook that just looks like that, okay? And what this is going to do, it's going to mix it and then it's going to knead it. There. And get that big lump down that's sitting up there thinking it doesn't want to be a part of the program. We're going to be sure it is a part of the program. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get down in here, and I want to be sure there's not flour all stuck in the bottom. I want to be sure we're able to incorporate everything. And you know how sometimes it gets stuck in the bottom of your mixer? We want to make sure that's not going to happen. Okay, now come and look at this. And see how yucky it looks right now? See, it's just all yucky. Well, we're going to let it continue this way by itself, and it's going to knead for 10 minutes. If you don't have a mixer that has this capability, all you're going to do is get all of your ingredients incorporated, and then you are just going to knead it. You roll it, push it out with your heels of your hands. Roll it in, push it out. And you do that for 10 minutes. It's a good little aerobic exercise for you. But anyway, I have this, I use it, and it's great. All right, so I will be back in 10 minutes. Well, all right, well, this was doing its 10 minutes. Always watch your bread. You really need to pay attention to what's happening here because all kinds of things can affect it. Heat can affect it, cold can affect it, moisture can affect it. Is it raining? There's a lot of humidity. All of those things make a difference. So as this was going into its 9th minute, it was still too liquidy. And I actually ended up putting in 2/3 more flour. Okay, then I let it really continue to develop, and I want you to take a look at this. If you're using a mixer, this is what you want it to do. You want it to start pulling away from the bowl. You see how it's pulling away? Okay, that tells me that we're okay, and I can stop that. I'll knead it a few times when I get it out here on the board. Just gonna generously dust it. Extract it from this and get this out. It's not going to be an easy dough to work with right now. It's still going to be pretty sticky, but that's okay. That's what it's supposed to be. There. But it's a nice dough. I can feel it. It feels really good, you guys. All right, so I just want a little bit more on my hands, and I'm just going to use if you don't have a bench scraper, it's really a good little thing to have, just like this, and you're just going to work it a little bit like that. Just move it around a little bit. It's already pretty well incorporated. I'm just wanting to give it a little bit of love, just a little bit of love. But you'll see it's still pretty sticky. See that? But it feels good. There. All righty. Now what I did while this was kneading, I took this bowl and I put it into my oven. I put it in at 200 degrees for just about 4 or 5 minutes. I just wanted to heat up the bowl. You don't have to do that, but whenever you can help that yeast activate, all the better. So now what we're going to do is just put a little bit of olive oil in here. You just want to coat it. Get some wrap here. This nifty little thing here is a gift from my good friend Amy. Thank you, Amy. I love it. All righty. Now we're going to pick the dough up, plop it in, roll it over a little bit because you want that top to be nice and coated. You don't want it to be breaking apart on you and cracking all over the place. So then I'm just going to cover the top, and I want it to be covered tightly. because I want to keep as much heat in here as I possibly can. Just like that. Now it's going to go into the oven. Now I shut the oven off, okay? Be sure you shut that oven off. You don't want your dough cooking at this time. So it's going to go in here. It's going to rise for an hour. And then we will pull it out and do the next step with it. See you back in an hour.
Okay.
Well, we have let them rise for another hour and they're just nicely rounded here. I have the oven, it has been preheating for the last 30 minutes at 375. And I'm just topping these with a little bit of butter. Everything is better with a little bit of butter. And then I will now pop it into the oven for 30 minutes. And then we will have magnificent bread. So I will be back in 30. Alrighty, be back soon. Well, we have reached our 30-minute baking time, and I wish you could smell what we are smelling in this house right now. Fresh baked bread. I don't think anything is better than that. So let's take a look and see what we created. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. So, they smell magnificent. I'm going to pop them out of their respective baking tins here. And let's see if I can do that easily. And sometimes you can and sometimes you cannot. So 1 second, let me get a knife just for the edge. Sometimes you just have to go around and just kind of break that seal, which is not a problem. I can feel right where it's holding on for dear life. Let's see if I broke enough. Tiny little mishap, but not much. And let's see if we can do this one. Magnificent. Oh, they're beautiful. Now, what you really want to do is dive in instantly. Don't do that. You really need to let it cool down about 20 minutes. And it's hard. I know it's hard because it smells so wonderful, but it will be worth it. If you cut into it now, all the inside is just going to mush on you, and you really don't want that because you spent a couple of hours doing something beautiful. You want the presentation and the time that you eat it to be really wonderful as well. So I know it's done. It's hollow. I can hear it. And if you want to be really accurate, stick a thermometer in, 190 degrees. Your bread is cooked all the way through. I'm not going to do that. I've done it enough times to know it's cooked. So I will let this cool down, and then we will come back and have a bite. Okay? Couple minutes. All right, well, the longest 15 minutes in the world is waiting for this to cool down. So it is now cool, so we are going to do this taste test. Not because I want to, but I'm only doing this for you. So let's see what we have done here. Did you hear, cameraman? Okay. Look at that texture. That is perfection. That's exactly what you're looking for. Isn't that beautiful? All right, now a little bit of jam. Now this is strawberry jam that I made, and there's a video up on it. If you want to make some really nice strawberry jam, you can do that as well. Alrighty. Warm bread, homemade jam. Life doesn't get much better than this. Oh, that's good. That's really, really, really good. It's got a nice texture, a beautiful, beautiful flavor. So, I think this is going to be a keeper, and I think it will be for you too. So I want you to try it. Now the ingredients are going to be below. So watch the video. If you haven't made bread before, watch it 1 or 2 times, and you'll see little things in there that you'll have to be careful of. Like the temperature of the water is important. Heating your bowl is kind of important. These things that you can kind of look and say, oh yeah, I kind of need to get that in place as I'm making bread. But I will tell you, once you do this, this opens up every type of yeast pastry or bread that you want to make. And I think that you'll probably enjoy it. So I will say bon appetit, ingredients below, subscribe, hit that little subscribe button, and a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you, and come back for the next video, or at least watch the strawberry jam one, because I think you'll like that too. Thank you, bye.